Here we go, Fabian. Right, so the 4-bar map sensors have come for the RS5. Fabian is just about to change them. There's two. There is one here, and there's one there, just down there. So we're going to get those changed so that we can carry on with this tuning build. So we removed the ECU because the map sensor is just down there, and that'll open all that space up to be able to get to it.
So what is it?
You said it's this one.
Oh no, it's not a Torx. Of course it's not. I really want to move this out of the way because it's bloody annoying.
Still tight.
Yeah. Well, if I get a bigger ratchet.
I'll put a bar on it.
Yeah, I'll get a bigger one and see if it. Obviously, I don't want it to snap.
We've just seen a right fun one here, so it looks like that someone has rounded off one of the bolts and have welded a nut onto the back in a bar. Nice. Get your light down here, Fabs. Let's get it in the picture. Just down there is like a rod welded to the top of a bolt for the throttle. Nice. I hate it when you see stuff like this because it makes you think what else,
Which is what we're finding out now.
and it looks like they might have cross-threaded the actual bolt on the
Hopefully it's just really tight. It might be alright.
that just snapped.
Yeah.
Rough.
That snapped.
Happy days. So happy days. They've cross-threaded the bolt, which has now left it snapped inside the aluminium housing. So this just seems to be the car that just keeps on giving. That bolt is either the wrong bolt,
Cross-threaded.
it's been cross-threaded,
Or sent in.
or it's been sent way too strong in because it's just a cap head, and that has actually snapped. So that is now possibly a charge cooler off job, which isn't fun. So a simple map sensor change has turned into a nightmare. Typical Friday. Whoa.
That's going to be too thin for that.
You reckon it won't grip it?
I want to make the hole any bigger because I can't. It's going to have nothing to grip onto. It's in, but I don't know how in it really is.
Probably like it's like you're wiggling around, didn't you? And it comes out.
That's the thing. It's just twisting the actual bit. I'm getting proper tight.
Like you need to get the leverage on it, don't you? Kind of like to be flat against it. Getting defeated.
Finally. She's out.
So what else would you be doing on the Sunday but tuning an Audi RS5? Let's crack on with this, let's get it done. I need to get this out of the way so I can crack on with the RS6 and get that finished. So let's get on with it, let's get it finished. It's Sunday, no one's gonna bug me. I like these days, I can lock the door, I can turn the fan on, and I can just chill. So here we go. Right, we are all set up and we're ready to go. I am going to have a little play with the car first before I do any much recording. I've got extra cameras in the car. Trying to get those little, parts of the car and the runs and things like that. So I am just going to give it a few tickles before we start. I'm set up again live. Everything's live. I've got my visualizer all set up. He says, that should all be on. Sort that out again. So you can have a trace function on here. So I am going to just set that up. So hardware visualizer, connect to the tool. There we go. So it just helps me understand where I am when I'm doing different parts of the tune. So doing timing and things like that, it really does help. So I'm just going to give it a run and then I'll come back to you. I do want to do it a couple of runs just before I really start opening Loom up and getting you inside the software and things like that. We've got the 4-bar map sensors on now. They're already scaled inside the software. Well, I've already done that, obviously. The guy's been driving it around a few days. So let's go. Let's get this done. So as you can see, I'm live tracing the tune. It makes it a lot quicker to be able to see where you are in the tune. So that little red block that's going across is actually showing me exactly where I am in that part of the map at that point, which makes it a lot easier to tune. And then once I'm done, you've done your dyno run, come off the throttle, check the logs, make the adjustments, and go again. Luckily, all the adjustments I'm making now are all completely live, so the engine is actually running while I'm making all these changes. There's no flashing involved, nothing else. I can just adjust, change, it's still on the trace, and then go again. I'm just bumping up the load to allow a little bit more breathing on the turbo, to allow a bit more power as we're getting through it. So now, start a dyno pull. And then once you've done the run, check the logs, rinse and repeat. This process is obviously a lot faster as we are. I'm just adding a bit of timing. I always seem to blanket the timing at first just to see where on the graph we're actually benefiting from any timing. And if there's no benefit, then we can start pulling through it, tweaking it and setting it up. This process can take a while depending on how the car reacts and obviously where we can make power, but this is made a lot faster with the trace function and the live tuning function. So now we're at the point where the timing isn't making much difference. We're actually getting a lot of heat and a lot of backup of the timing. So at this point it's a case of seeing what's wrong. So it's just log, see what's wrong, see what we can change to make it any better, and then rinse, repeat, go again. These are the fueling tables. I'm just making sure that is following where I am. So I'm allowing a bit more fuel just to see if I can get a bit more timing in. So here I'm adding a bit of duration on the injectors. There's quite a few of these tables, so quickly change those. As I'm making these changes, that's flashing directly to the ECU. And then rinse and repeat. I did allow a little bit more adaptation on the knock sensors then. This will be all pulled out when we finish the tune. It's just to see like what's going on, to relax it off a bit, see what's going on, then make the changes. If you don't push these cars, then you never know where you're going to be. So that's poured a little bit more power. So as you can see, that a lot of the work is done via logs, adjusting the tune. The dyno doesn't really play much of a part in that. The only part it plays is just seeing if the car is liking the changes that you're making. So I'm adding a bit more fuel pressure here, bumping up the load a bit to make sure I'm not being held back anywhere. Rinse and repeat. I've got the dyno set to quite long runs just to make sure that I'm getting all the information I need, and this is a 5th gear pull. Didn't like that, there's a little bit of a choke, so drop these down, drop the wastegate down, and then we'll work on the turbo, work on everything else, just to make sure that all is well. Fueling looks good. Timing's pulling a bit, so there's not really much to do there. I'm just setting all the turbo back. It's just a case of rinse and repeat, just to make sure it's all okay. Once this is done, I'll flash the ECU with a final tune, because once I key off this car, all the changes I've just made will actually be reset in the car, so it'll be on the tune that it's originally on. So I have to reflash over that with the current tune, and then the guy can take it away, and then we can start doing a bit more development on the turbos, so we can get more power out of it. So that's okay, that pulled all the way through. So at the minute, nice clean pulls, decent power, but not where we want to be. Right, so I've been on this car for quite a while now, going backwards and forwards, trying different things and all sorts of stuff. So the charge cooler's hitting like, I mean, it's quite warm in here today. It's like 18 degrees in the cell itself, as you can see. So it's 18 degrees in the cell itself, which doesn't do it much favours. So I am a bit like, I'm hitting 63 degrees at the top of the pull. So it is starting to pull a little bit at the top end, as you can see on the graph here. So it's basically saying, no, can't have that. And you don't want to move those limits, because obviously that's there to protect the engine. So what I am going to do is I'm going to do a bit of road testing to see what she does out on the road temperature wise when she's flat out. I'm at 2 bar at the minute, and I'm still not making like massive loads of power. So I mean, that could come, I mean, just, you put a little bit more into it. So say if I'm running like 2.1 bar, 2.2 bar, you can feel it choke a little bit. So that could just be the air again. I mean, it might even be the room, it could be anything. So I am going to test that on the road as well. I'm going to put a bit more boost into it on the road and see how she behaves, just to get a good idea and like a better idea, because you need to put the car into its where it's going to be on the road to know what it's going to feel like. Gearbox I'm going to have to do as well. I've got a bit of work to do with the gearbox, just to open it up and use that power band a little bit better, because the power band's changed from a stock turbo, so you need to do a bit of work there. And that's about it really. Timing wise, she's already pulling. So, but again, that could come down to the heat. So I'm gonna take it out to the road and just see what it's like out on the road, just to give me a good idea about the whole setup. But apart from that, she's pulling all right. We've got 550 brake at 785 Newton meters, and she's quite clean. I did actually manage to fix this a few times, and this is like about 10 runs in, because it was trying to pull a little bit of boost on the way in, so I'll fix that as well. But apart from that, I'm quite happy. Like, she's going to be quick. Not going to be up there where I thought she would be, but she might need a few more mods. You don't quite know, because they kind of like went quite far quickly. So they changed turbo, changed the charge cooler, changed this, changed that, and I'm like, you don't know how good the charge cooler is, and compared to a stock one, because it's not been tested and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Let's take her out on the road, get a better idea of what she's like driving about, and we'll go from there. So here we are, filming off my phone, first time ever. So I've just took it through a little road log, as you can see we're out and about. And just going through the logs, it's not actually far off from what I was seeing on the dyno. So obviously boost flat out. I mean, the car feels absolutely rapid, but it's just not making the figures that we kind of want. So we are seeing a bit of ignition pull still, like even though we are out on the road. It's a bit of a cold day as well. It's not the warmest of days. It's not the coldest, but it's not the warmest. And I'm still getting a bit of ignition pull. So that needs looking at before we can proceed, because I can't add any time into this car. It just says no, which kind of makes me think that it could possibly be the turbo sizing on the hot side. And it's getting a bit of extra build-up of pressure that it can't get rid of. Which is kind of a sure sign when you start getting high intake temps and you start getting ignition pull. You can't add any ignition even over stock. It kind of starts to show that. Now these do have a kind of a relative pressure. So offset question. No, not that one. Where are you? It's the problem when you got so many logs. You got to sit and go through it all. Maximum target air charge, torque. Where are you? Set at about 1.4 on a pressure ratio, which is quite high. Pressure upstream compressor, that's at 4. Ratio boost pressure, that's at 4. Got a bit of open on the air. Fuel in, base angle injection, that's okay. That's basically like the story. Camshaft position. All part of the PID. I do have a bit of work to do on the PID, but it's kind of pointless at the minute until I start seeing some returns on what we're actually doing. So we've got pressure exhaust gas cylinder 1 upstream, that's at like 1.4 HPA. So it's something we're gonna have to play with, I think. I mean, the car is absolutely rapid, but it just needs a few things just sorting, just to see if we can get up there. Because obviously we want a turbo that will work. We want turbos that will easily cope with what we've got. I mean, it could even be the charge cooler that's kind of backing up, but you've got to start testing things to try to get your head around the whole platform. So right, so this is us all done. So I've ran the car on the road and it's still backing up. So what I think it is, and what I'm working with the turbo people, because these are still development turbos, they're not running, you can't buy these turbos yet, they're still development and we're still working on them. So it's the hot side, I reckon, that is way too small. I mean, even looking at it like that, it's looking a bit small. So what we're going to do, we're going to send these back with the turbos, get them to stick a bigger hot side on, because they're meant to be an 81 trim. Now I know the G25 runs an 84 trim, so I want those changed. So we're going to change the hot side, get the car back, go again and see if we can get kind of what I kind of want out of this car and go from there, really. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll start putting this car together and trying to figure it out. But once we've kind of got somewhere, hopefully in the next few days, I will come back and we'll catch up on this car. But right now, I think I'm going to give the car back, let the guy drive it a bit, see what he thinks, see if there's anything to do with the gearbox that he wants changing. And then once then, well, I'm going to go start the RS6. So I'm going to put the RS6 on this afternoon, so hopefully that'll be my next video. So if you're liking the content, please like, subscribe, because it all helps the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.